loss coming to Sequinox on stream, and Sequinox, as we know, was killing it so far with his record. So Tom's tiebreakers is one of the best. Meanwhile, BloodTrail, his loss came early to Trihyson, excuse me, probably saying that wrong, in round 2, but was able to pair a lot of good wins against good players like Jinsu and Chonsu from Korea. And they have very differing lineups. BloodTrail, known to love playing aggro, bringing a very different strategy with a bunch of anti-control stuff here.
Yeah, BloodTrail made the championship just last season, so he is coming off of successful playoff season last season. He didn't have quite as strong a showing at the championship itself. He made a couple of missteps in some of his matches. We were casting one of those that was pretty dramatic, where he had some seeming misunderstanding of the interaction between Prince Keliseth and the Stitch Tracker.
Oh, please don't remind me.
But now he's playing a bit of a different Hunter deck that is still a Stitch, or rather a Keliseth deck. No Stitch Trackers to be found. Actually, no, he does still have one. There is still one. It could happen again.
Oh, he needs to just remind himself where he came from.
But
never forget.
But no, he is playing the Death Rattle Hunter deck, which does have a lot of powerful openings, one of which he has access to right now with the Egg into potential Stalker plus Playdead on turn 4. Tom is going to try to give him as little time as possible with the Keliseth on turn 1, followed up by double minion. Ooh, Flame Imp. Immediately buffed from that Keliseth.
Yeah, this is going to be really key for Tom, because you look at the deck list for BloodTrail, and it's very clear that he's got some really powerful anti-aggro strategies. For example, his Malygos, Togwaggle, or Mallygaggle, if you will, has a mind control tech in it.
Another Imp. I would be shocked if Tom doesn't clear this Egg this turn, because going into the 4th turn, it is so dangerous to leave that Egg up because of the threat of exactly what BloodTrail had in his hand. The Terrascale Stalker plus Playdead could make a gigantic board here if Tom attacks this with the Flame Imp, then trades in his Librarian here. He can just Soulfire that 5/5 away and be left with no real threat from those cards in BloodTrail's hand.
Yeah, we kind of joked about the Keliseth early on, but that's what you really need to win early on. You have that small window of opportunity to really punish the Hunter for not doing too much. But I mean, still, 2 5/5s coming out is going to be quite fierce.
But they're not coming out, and Tom, he decides, I'm not going to risk it, don't want to give any opportunity for you to take advantage of Playdead effects.
Love it.
Does lose his Doom Guard, but got 10 power on the board right now.
Yeah, I think that's much faster.
Ooh, though, Flanking Strike to draw for BloodTrail, exactly what he needed. One interesting point is Tom could have chosen to just hold on to the Voodoo Doctor there, which was being exposed to a charge of the Candle Shot.
Right.
And that may have allowed him to discard that potentially keep a more impactful minion. BloodTrail now, though, a 3/9 coming down.
It's not necessarily just the 3/9, it's the Carnivorous Cube and the Playdead on the follow-up.
Yeah, this came together perfectly for BloodTrail now. He can even get some damage on the Dreadlord, cube it up, Playdead, 2, 3, 12s coming down. This is potentially just out of reach for Tom at this point. He had his opportunity with the powerful opening, but BloodTrail with that draw of Flanking Strike was able to contain things until he got to this point where Tom doesn't look like he has any way through.
Yeah, because there are 2 other Witchwood Grizzlies waiting out inside that cube as well, unless Tom is able to stop it. And I don't think he can. This is actually something.
Narrative voice. He could not.
He could.
That's what's happening here.
Translator's note in the bottom of the anime.
Seriously.
It's interesting because
another Playdead. Okay. It's raining bears.
Yeah, it's super.
He doesn't have room for all the bears he could make this turn.
Yeah, it is lights out.
Look at that board. We talk about how this Hunter deck can be vulnerable to aggressive decks, but that requires the aggressive deck is able to get some aggression going, and you don't just have this.
I mean, it's still a pretty good board for the Zoo if it just wasn't for Carnivorous Cube and all of its shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, there's still more bears in there and a Playdead. Also lethal damage. Oh. Yeah, Tom was like, okay.
What a silly,
You got this
silly
one.
game. That was just crazy. Death Rattle Hunter showing you what it can do when it draws the absolute best cards you can play early on in Hearthstone, but BloodTrail could not be stopped. Devilsaur Egg into Cube, into Play Deads, into non-stop activations. Now we go to Combo Shutterwalk Shaman up against Token Druid, and we'll see if Tom can turn things around. Shutterwalk Shaman, a deck that I'm still not exactly sure about. It seems to work fantastic if we run into the slower lineups, but I feel like against the aggro, it's still a coin toss whether or not it's actually good or not.
In this matchup, we do have quite a few board clear tools that can combine, at least, to deal with the large boards with Soul in the Forest. BloodTrail is playing the Storm Surge, Lightning Storm, as well as Volcano, all of which, in some combination of two, can typically clear off those huge boards that Tom's looking to build.
Yeah, Electra Storm Surge, definitely one of the coolest legendaries from the Boomsday project that I thought had a huge impact. Ends up just being very solid. You know, I thought it was going to be like a really insane card for aggro Shaman, but ends up just being a nice package fit for Shutterwalk.
So BloodTrail just did not use his hero power on turn 2. I'm trying to think of like what the specific, if there's a specific reason in this matchup you don't want a hero power.
I just think he doesn't want extra health for things like Volcano, and I don't think an extra 1/1 or a healing totem is actually that great.
Yeah, that's it's just interesting because you know obviously he's not doing turn 2. It's not like there's a specific situation. He's like, okay, the most important thing here is that I don't have that extra health, perhaps for Volcano, like you mentioned, to be able to clear off a large board.
Pay attention, class.
So BloodTrail picking up a very cheap Volcano is actually just so important.
Very powerful.
Largely because one of the biggest things about Shutterwalk Shaman when you're trying to like layer AoE clear is the fact that you're overloaded and it's too expensive. But now you can Lightning Storm and Volcano. Or Volcano first, then
I'm going for the double draw here. Finds Nourish. So with that Nourish and the Wild Growth, we'll be able to ramp up to Unstable, or rather Ultimate Infestation very, very quickly.
Yep. Can just power up. BloodTrail most likely won't really be winning this game through the Shutterwalk Life Drinker combos, but instead just trying to hold off Tom's aggression and maybe hold a single board. We'll find out what happens though, because we have seen Token Druid take games to the distance. Like they've gone too fatigued, drawn out most of their deck, and then their opponents will either hold off or buckle under the pressure. Double Lightning Storm coming to the hand. I mean, granted, Shutterwalk decks have largely descended into Shutterwalk core plus like 25 anti-aggro cards. That's a little bit of exaggeration. They have some card draw in there as well, but it's just so many tools to try and survive.
So Tom could use Ultimate Infestation this turn, but he has so many cards in hand, I think we'll see him play Malfurion plus the Spellstone.
Yeah, it's all about whether or not he wants to Spellstone the Mana-Tide Totem or remove more power off the board, because things like Grumble is a huge threat right now.
I expect we'll see him take out the Mana-Tide simply because he does have a bunch of armor gain available with Malfurion himself, as well as the Infestation he's looking to cast too. Gonna go with Spiders too, so this gives him the ability to combat the board with these pretty effectively.
Yeah.
If he had taken taunts, then he'd just be able to get one of the kills on the board as it is. And it's not as if BloodTrail's in a position to fire off, Lightning Storm to kill them. His mass removal is so heavily taxed by the deck Tom's playing structurally.
And this is sort of a punish, though. Is kind of what we're talking about. Is when you leave up Serenade Chain Gang, you give your opponent the ability to somehow get a second copy, and that's going to be really big if it comes down to it. But Tom now going to go for Soul cards and force BloodTrail to show his first batch of AoE cards.
Yep, and this is going to get the immediate trigger on the Spider as well, so taking down some of that board. And BloodTrail has kind of his choice of exactly how he wants to try and navigate this. He does have the Mind Control tech. Looks like he can go ahead and immediately Electra plus Storm and try and press the board advantage that he has.
This is so big and shows you why Electra Storm Surge is really important card in this deck. And now Tom does have that reload. It's not pretty.
This does overload BloodTrail for 4, so next turn he'll only have access to 5 mana. But Tom has access to has had access to 10 mana for a while, so I expect Infestation will come down and clear one of these minions now.
Yeah, it's gonna really hope that he hits the Arcane Tyrant. And it looks like he will have because his end turn button is not green. It's a little trick for people who are a little impatient, don't want to wait for the animations.
See, that one I still can't see because there's not like
It says
aura around it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Hagatha's a very good draw for BloodTrail this turn. Another AoE board clear that could potentially get him additional removal. There's Soul the Forest. Okay, so, but this is actually pretty interesting because the fact that BloodTrail has the discounted Volcano means that he can Volcano and then Hagatha to clear the board off. This will be both Soul the Forests, both Whispering Woods dealt with over the course of just a couple of turns.
Yeah, and all the AoE. I mean, like, in the sense that BloodTrail has used so much of his AoE that Tom pretty much has no board, and his recovery tool is the Violet Teacher, but after that, not really much going on.
Ooh, this is okay. Yeah, he's gonna go Volcano first. Yeah, the correct way to do this is Volcano first, because otherwise there's, I guess it doesn't matter. It's 14 away.
Yeah.
Second and a half device. I had him ahead at 16, and then like, wait, there's only 7 spots in the board. That can't be possible.
Right.
Yeah, Volcano into Hagatha clears this off, and now Tom, you know, he's got a lot of cards, but how big of a board can he make? He has the potential Violet Teacher. He could actually, oops, Spreading Plague only makes a single guy, not terribly powerful. But he can potentially Violet Teacher into Nourish for mana and then cast. No, it's not worth it. Just gonna cast a double Power of the Wild, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's still a fairly reasonable board, and the truth is, with Tom's Burst in his hand,
Oh wow, okay.
Oh wow, he's really banking on the fact that BloodTrail hasn't drawn his 4th AoE card in his top 15 cards of his deck.
Well, if he goes for the buff, then he's only getting his guys out, like one guy out of range of a Lightning Storm anyway.
That's true.
So I feel like he wants to go for making a big board here.
BloodTrail seeing if he can get extra spells off Hagatha's Bewitch hero power.
Oh, binds a Volcano. The Lightning Storm will clear off everything but the Violet Teacher.
But this is where an opportunity Spreading Plague can... Actually, no. The Violet Teacher complicates it because it summons an extra 1/1.
Yeah, he will get 1/5 here because the trigger happens first. It does let him play the Arcane Tyrant. Yeah.
That's so crazy, and I think that probably is what breaks the straw that breaks the camel's back here. Unless I'm missing something.
I don't think you are. I think Volcano here is going to clear everything off.
Actually, there are Giggling Adventures in the deck.
It's true. Yeah, Tom does still have a little bit of reload, but that's not, not generally going to be enough to actually close the game. He's getting a couple of minions from the Giggles. There's only 7 cards left.
This is how you know. This is how you know, by the way, that Tom has seen it all. He's completely unfazed.
Cold.
That in the first 15 or so cards, opponent had all the AoE, and then his opponent got a Volcano off the Hagatha. He still sees his ability to win this game through double Giggling Inventor.
Yeah. And
it's a very realistic possibility that BloodTrail still just dies to a big board.
He does still have double Savage Roar plus the Branching Paths.
He does need to make sure he has the mana to play Shudderwalk too. So if he uses Crushing Hand in this spot, he can't play Shudderwalk.
I think he likes the Spirit Echo here to potentially reload on these minions.
Yeah, it does give Tom this one window though. BloodTrail's a little bit slow. All right. Showtime. A lot of Serenade Chain Gangs have been played.
But the freeze is actually very valuable. The Haggith effect as well. That's the big one, is shutting down. Yeah, this is not looking good for Tom. Everything's frozen. His deck is gone.
Oh, that's funny. He plays it twice, yeah.
Can freeze the face now, too.
And now, Tom completely frozen. And completely dead, I think. If he plays Spreading Plague, it doesn't actually do very much. He could buff the board with his Branching Pass preemptively, maybe Spellstone also, but...
Spreading Plague can get 3 guys and then swipe one of the Shutterwalks. That would leave 3 Shutterwalks left. You know, he wouldn't die on the board or anything, but he'd be up against a board that's clearing his, and he needs to stick a board of his own, and that's, you know, not really a position he'll end up being in, especially given the amount of resources that BloodTrail has in his hand. He has additional freeze effect. He has several removal cards. I just don't see this as a position that Tom could win from.
Yeah, and he also needs that Spellstone to be fully upgraded as well. It needs to be the greater Spellstone, so that way he could hero power things down over time. But right now, he's still frozen, so everything is just kind of awkward here for Tom. I actually can't really see a line, because he also knows his opponent's holding a handful of cards with Serenade Chain Gangs that died.
Right.
So, like, he still can't even burst, and next turn you can be secured a board somehow. Pretty sure this is going to be almost lights out here.
Yeah, this is his best play to hang on a little bit, but it is just delaying the inevitable at this point, because he is out of resources. He has no more cards in his deck. BloodTrail has a full hand. Is going to be able to pick this board apart piece by piece.
Yep, this is Tom giving BloodTrail the opportunity to mess up. And BloodTrail taking the absolute defense measure, healing up, playing more taunts. Tom is locked out of the game.
Yeah, and finally he decides to give it up. Now, player who burst onto the scene with his qualification for just...
Shouldn't be as easily paving over aggro as it sounds, but yet it's working out. And now Tom has to go up against arguably the best individual lone deck in this hybrid Druid. This is one of the hardest decks to beat in the metagame. And Tom has to 3-0 it in order to advance to day number 2 with a 5-1 score.
Well, he has a Kellis with his opener at least. And
Kellis and things like the Librarian, which is really big.
And BloodTrail's opening hand is pretty bad. He has no ramp, 2 copies of Naturalize, which are obviously powerful against large minions, but really not very good against small minions like the ones that make up most of the Zoo deck.
Kellis is exceptionally powerful when you can follow up with Cobalt Librarian, because you can draw into double 1-drop.
Spreading Plague to draw for BloodTrail, so that could be important, but Spreading Plague is a bit less powerful against Zoo compared to a lot of decks. Ooh, finds a Soul Infusion with the Blood Imp as the... All right, really that's gonna be big. Yeah, Zoo is one of the decks that's pretty well suited to fight through Spreading Plague, simply because its minions are actually relatively large, especially with Kellis. Has Fungal Mancer as well.
Yeah, precisely. And also BloodTrail no ramp, so he's gonna take a long time to get to that Spreading Plague.
And Tom is not gonna give him that long a time. He's got 12 power in play just on turn 3.
What on earth? That is insane. That's like Quest Row status, like double 4/4. And, I mean, BloodTrail has to think about whether or not he even wants to let these 4/4s survive, you know what I mean? Like, take pressure off the board with Naturalize, but then you give your opponent more Kellis draws.
Right. The fact that the Kellis has already been played makes Naturalizing really painful, because everything else that comes down is going to be similarly large.
Yeah, BloodTrail, in his mind, he's... best draws here for Tom. Still looking for any kind of way to get this Happy Ghoul out of his hand. Actually,
He does have Fungal Enchanter, so his next turn can easily be Fungal Enchanter, Happy Ghoul, Void Rocker. Ooh, the Mossy Horror draw from Tom. That is a great insurance policy against Spreading Plague. That's a card you don't often see in Zoo, in part because they do have their own sets of small minions that can die to it, but it is fantastic to push damage past potential Spreading Plague.
Aslan Soul Thief, not the most amazing card in this position. BloodTrail really needs to find some way to stop the aggro beyond Spreading Plague. Not even playing his Arcane Tyrant because he doesn't want his opponent to trade it anymore.
Pushing 12 once again. BloodTrail does have Spreading Plague, which will allow him to play that Arcane Tyrant for free and keep it protected, at least in theory.
Oh no, just all the situational game finishing cards.
BloodTrail has had a lot of the exactly what he needed kind of cards in previous games, so I think one draw with suboptimal stuff here, as he certainly has. All of his finishers, nothing to really keep him alive except for the Spreading Plague, but Tom is the one with the perfect answer in Mossy Horror. Does kill two of his own minions, but allows him to push 13 to the face. BloodTrail's at fun.
So BloodTrail gains 12 life and swipes. Looks like he will survive, relatively speaking, in his mind.
He can leave 8 on the board after the swipe trade, so he does have the ability to stay afloat for at least one more turn. He has 8. Solarium into Leroy would be lethal here, I think. Right?
True. Tom healing to get outside of Ultimate Infestation range. Very astute observation here.
So how much he has? He's at 1 Doom Guard. I think it's still a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but BloodTrail, not much you can do about this, and we have ourselves a series.
Yeah, Tom climbing back with the Zulok win, but that is the strongest decks out there in the metagame, but also one of the hardest. I feel like BloodTrail definitely set himself up with this one. If he does it really well with this lineup, I don't think anyone can doubt whether or not he belongs in back-to-back championships while playing one of the most complicated lineups he could possibly bring.
Yeah, a lot of decisions with these sorts of decks he's running. You know, in particular, when you're playing a deck like this one, where there's so many sort of alternate game plans you can go down thanks to the hybrid combo nature of the deck. But here, BloodTrail's just hoping to have the game plan of I get to play my cards, which right now doesn't look like he does, because he's got a bunch of garbage in that hand. Huge casting costs, combo cards, no ramp, while Tom's off to the races with Wild Growth already.
Yeah. And this Violet Teacher is not going to be answered except for Naturalize. That's bad news for BloodTrail. If he has to naturalize this Violet Teacher, he might give Tom more ways to add the pressure.
He does have a swipe, so that is a totally reasonable answer to at least minions that Violet Teacher.
Tom kind of feeling the same pain as BloodTrail. Double Ultimate Infestation. A second Nukin summons, though.
He finds Nourish that will potentially allow him to play a free Arcane Tyrant and start ramping up to those infestations. Wake for BloodTrail puts a little bit of clock on the game, giving him a powerful tool if he gets into the late turns to get huge bonus mana turn.
Yes. The only caveat to that is BloodTrail doesn't exactly have a great twig hand right now.
There is the possibility you just kind of play everything out and then infestation in one turn. It can happen.
Yes. I think what he's mainly looking for is a decisive way to answer the board. So if he picks up Malygos, or if he just simply finds like a way to stack defense, such as Spreading Plague and then playing like a single threat.
Interestingly, just the fact that Twig allows him to swing without spending mana is powerful this turn. Lets him take out the Violet Teacher without having to use his coin.
And people really sleep on the Light's Justice aspect of it.
They really do.
It's an investment of mana, so that way you can just keep hero powering for either 2 damage or just swinging it every turn.
but crucially, Tom is well ahead on mana now. He is going to be able to Infestation just next turn, while BloodTrail is still going to need to find some more acceleration. He has that Wild Growth. He's going to start with a Ferocious Howl.
Draw first.
Farmer.
Just a little bit off, though.
Yeah, he can't quite get the Infestation in next turn. While Tom is going to be sending 5 upstairs.
Oh, yeah. BloodTrail starting to move around the seat a little bit. It's definitely an uncomfortable position if I've ever seen one. Token Druid being fairly aggressive. Savage Roar being picked up. Tom is close to ending this game before BloodTrail can get set up.
There is
Spreading Plague comes out.
Spreading Plague into the Wild Growth here. Gives him natural 10 mana.
And the fact that it's twigged on his last activation as well.
And the fact that Tom did just fill up his hand means Naturalize, effectively no drawback here, as he kills the 5/5, could burn some of Tom's pump spells as well.
My hand is too full.
The Wild gone. Alfurion gone is actually fairly significant. It means that Tom doesn't have access to that additional armor gain to keep him alive, as well as consistent pressure.
Right, and the Power of the Wild would have also been very nice to put things a little bit stronger on the board in order to fight these 1/5 tokens.
I mean, this could easily be a game where Tom runs out of resources. That's something, one way that this Malygos deck can operate is just giving you, dealing with all of your stuff and, fatiguing you with either the Togwaggle portion or, I mean, in this situation, potentially, frankly, just with natural.
Yeah, that is the scariest aspect of this. What is BloodTrail going to do with his 20 mana this turn? And the answer for now is not very much. He's got Ultimate Infestation. Wait to see what he draws and then react to it. But if he picks up, let's say, Swipe and Malygos, he might be back in business. Unfortunately, he can't play it all, though, because he doesn't have Malygos in his hand. He has to play Malygos and then the Flip into Swipe.
There is Malygos.
Swipe as well. Oh my goodness. I think the pieces are there. Now, does BloodTrail feel the need to snap the twig now?
I don't think so. He has 3 taunts. There's no great way for Tom to push past them because they have high enough health. They're not just get swiped down. Not enough of a board that's threatening with pump effects.
These are all true facts. And now BloodTrail has the ability to kill next turn? Does he have Malygos, Floop with Swipe and Moonfire? That's 10, 20, 24, 25.
With a board, too.
With the board, assuming it doesn't all go down, which a lot of it is.
I mean, Tom is at 38 here, but just the swipe alone, clearing off his board, is going to put him in a world of hurt.
Yeah, the Soul of the Forest tokens. I don't think they're enough really to close this out.
There's only 2 minions left with that buff. Yeah, BloodTrail. Yeah, there is Malygos. There's the attack. Malygos number 2. Swipe to the face for 14 damage.
Yep.
And your board. That's gone too.
Yeah, he has to deal with both Malygos. Malygaggle.
The gooses are loose. 11 damage Moonfire. Tom down to just 13 life. By the way, there's still 2 Malygos you gotta kill.
Sorry, we just went through a wind tunnel. Tom needs to find a way to remove the Malygos and gain armor. He has branching paths and like Savage Roar. That's about it.
Removing a Malygos from a single 2/2 on the board is not something I think he can try and do. I think what he needs to do is try and just
hope he doesn't have
build, yeah, it's like, okay, I hope you got nothing else.
And Ultimate Infestation deals 15.
Yeah, that is going to overdraw BloodTrail, but that does not matter whatsoever as it
3-1.
overkills Tom, and BloodTrail takes down the world champion to advance to 5-1.
Very well played by BloodTrail, and he also brought a very refreshing deck, Mill Warlock, with Odd Warrior, a greedy version,